across the country, tackling the topics everyone is talking about online. Share, engage, and interact. This is Newsfeed Now.
Good morning, Monday morning at that, and welcome to Newsfeed Now. I'm your host, Hillary Hunt. Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to be taking a look at today's top trending stories, like the latest on the impeachment of former President Donald Trump, concerns about the COVID-19 vaccine supply, Mardi Gras, and one of my personal favorites, I'm not being biased here, but the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Of course, we need to start on Capitol Hill with the latest there. President Joe Biden plans to put COVID-19 related travel restrictions in place today. You want to listen to this? The president hopes those restrictions will limit COVID-19 transmission. The ban would prevent most non-U.S. citizens from entry if they've recently been to places like South Africa. That's where a new strain of COVID-19 has now been identified. President Biden plans to reinstate restrictions to non-U.S. traveling citizens if they're coming from the U.K., Ireland, much of Europe, even Brazil. Those restrictions were actually in place for much of the past year, but President Trump rescinded them just before the end of his term. And let's talk about former President Donald Trump. As the House is set to introduce articles of impeachment to the Senate, lawmakers are really split on whether to proceed with an actual trial. Our Washington correspondent Basil John has more on how members of Congress want to proceed. Take a look.
We're going to jump right back into what we've been going through for the last 5 years and stirring it up again with the trial. And it's just going to be bad for the country. It really is.
On Fox News Sunday, Florida Senator Marco Rubio says he stands against the push for an impeachment trial.
The first chance I get to vote to end this trial, I'll do it because I think it's really bad for America.
The debate over whether or not there was fraud should occur.
And on ABC's This Week, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul would not deny claims that the election was stolen.
You're saying there was no fraud and it's all been investigated. That's just not true.
Utah Senator Mitt Romney said on CNN's State of the Union his GOP colleagues cannot deny the legitimacy of a trial for the former president.
What is being alleged and what we saw, which is incitement to insurrection, is an impeachable offense. If not, what is?
While this is going on, lawmakers are in the process of getting another COVID relief bill out. Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar told ABC's This Week she's confident Congress can balance all of its priorities.
They need help, and I thoroughly believe that we can handle this impeachment trial and, just as the American people are doing, juggle what we need to get done.
Something else everyone's talking about on Capitol Hill, the latest on the coronavirus pandemic. President Joe Biden is putting into play his national COVID-19 strategy. It involves a number of things, including increasing vaccinations and testing, reopening schools and businesses, and also increasing the use of masks. State health secretaries are asking Biden for earlier and more reliable predictions on when those COVID-19 vaccines will be delivered. Healthcare workers are concerned about the current supply. Nancy Liu has more on this story for us.
At the world's largest vaccination site, now operating out of Dodger Stadium, the cars keep coming and demand is high. But confidence is low among healthcare leaders about maintaining an adequate supply of vaccine to go around.
We're not yet sure about our allocation for next week, which will need to cover those healthcare workers that need their second doses, as well as everybody who's ready for their first dose.
Hope is hinging on the vow by President Biden to vaccinate 100 million Americans in his first 100 days in office. According to the CDC, only about 17.5 million have been vaccinated as of today, with total doses distributed under 38 million.
Part of the distribution problem relates to the fact that we didn't have time to set up the sites we needed. We didn't have time to hire the people and get them trained we needed when the vaccine started coming in.
Today, the governor of Utah expressed confidence in the new national strategy, highlighting a current issue with federal partners that are slower to roll out vaccinations than local health departments.
This is a problem across the country. This isn't just a Utah problem. Everyone is seeing this problem and working really hard to claw back those doses. And there's no reason for those doses to sit on shelves and potentially expire, which would be the worst case scenario.
Despite these supply chain concerns, leaders are encouraging increased demand.
Vaccinating millions of people in a matter of months will be difficult.
In a joint video released today, the governors and lieutenant governors of Illinois and 6 other Midwestern states urged everyone to make a plan to get vaccinated.
The vaccine is safe and effective, and it's the greatest tool we have to defeat COVID-19.
By making a plan to get vaccinated when the vaccine is available to you, you can help us return to normal sooner.
Meantime, other vaccine options are in the pipeline and could be in the mix soon to possibly ease anxiety over supply. California's top epidemiologists addressed that during an online news conference.
I've not heard any really concrete information on how much, if and when those are approved, how much supply that will add. One of them is great. The Janssen one is only 1 dose, so that will really help a great deal as far as not having this complex issue around the doses.
Trending right now in the West, researchers at UC San Diego are experimenting with new wearable test strips. You see it right there, which would change the color if they detect the coronavirus in a person's breath or saliva. You see it on that mask. The strips may be fixed to a mask and are designed to detect protein clean molecules produced from an infection of the virus. That's what the university is telling us. While it's not intended to replace those COVID-19 testing protocols, the project lead principal investigator Jesse Jokester said it can offer a surveillance approach similar to a smoke detector. Very different there. And in the Midwest, a Missouri family hopes their interview about the death of their loved one to cancer will save others. They spoke with Chris Haynes in hopes to raise attention to other health threats during the pandemic.
Joshua Hall was a miracle baby.
His original problem was a heart. He was born without a tricuspid valve in his heart.
After his birth in 1977, his parents were told he would not live long.
First we heard 5 years, then we heard 10 years. And then as things started improving and medications were improving, they were just saying, he's doing good.
Each year brought incredible family stories and opportunities for Josh to give back through his ministry and his mentoring. This past spring, now 43 years old, he knew something was wrong, but could not see a doctor in person because of the COVID shutdown. His sister, Julie Green, said he would not take no for an answer.
He lost over 35 pounds, and it wasn't until he took pictures of himself, basically stripped down to his boxers, and sent them to his doctors.
Josh's family said he got his appointment too late and died from cancer.
When they found the mass, it was 4 centimeters, which is not that big. It was 4 centimeters in his large intestine. And if they had found that 4 months earlier, if they had let him in when he was trying to get in.
Dr. Bob Farmer, who was recently a medical director for an Illinois hospital group, fears there could be hundreds of thousands of people like Josh.
While we focus so much on COVID, and we should, it's deadly and it's very problematic for especially the elderly and the people with comorbid conditions. We must also keep in mind at what expense and how does it balance with other health problems that Americans face.
Dr. Farmer points to recent cancer studies revealing a drastic drop in screenings and diagnoses.
Based on the data I've reviewed, those numbers are down 40%, which means between 700,000 and 800,000 people this year and probably going into this next year since COVID started are not being diagnosed. And it's not that the cancer's not there.
And mental health. A recent health alert from the World Health Organization highlighted its survey showing the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted or halted critical mental health services in 93% of countries worldwide, while the demand for mental health is increasing.
And I fear that too many people are afraid to talk about it for fear of being vilified.
Dr. Farmer believes the solution is to constantly debate new ideas during this unprecedented time while maintaining an open mind and compassion, the same codes Joshua Hall lived by.
And taking a look at what's trending right now in the South, a Louisiana teen is putting a horrific crime behind him while recovering from a near-death experience. This all happened on June 20th. Holden White was tortured and his attacker thought he was dead. Now White, an openly gay young man, is pressing hate crime charges. We do want to warn you, some of the things you may hear could be disturbing. Neil Zarang has more for us.
Nothing seemed weird. And we decided, after a month of talking, we should meet.
Holden White said there were no red flags as he and Chance Seneca agreed to their first date, but once he was picked up and playing video games in Seneca's house, everything changed.
He left the room to get something and then he came back. And when he came back, he came up behind me and that's when he wrapped the cord around my throat.
White struggled while nearly every blood vessel in his face ruptured, his vision blurred, and then his memory.
The next thing I remember is being in the bathtub and he was slicing open my left wrist.
Naked and surrounded surrounded by his own blood, he faded in and out of consciousness with his attacker watching him. In his mind, he thought it was the end.
I was saying my final words to myself, which were just stay calm.
Holden fell into a coma for 3 days and awoke in the hospital. He later learned Chance Seneca called the police and said he killed a man. No rape kit was given as Holden struggled for his life with 6 stab wounds to the neck, a blow to the back of the head, and cuts so deep to his wrists that his hands were nearly sawed off. But White was determined to recover.
Imagine like going 18 years of your life, being able to use your hands, and then one moment it's just taken away from you.
After almost a month in the hospital and 3 additional weeks passing, White returned to work, but because of his hands, he had to leave. 5 months later, Holden has just regained full function of his right hand. His left hand is still partially numb. Holden White has made it his mission to move on from the brutal attempt on his life and make sure the man responsible can't attack another gay man.
My one goal that I would say would be to, yes, keep him in prison, and then number 2, to let everyone know that like if you have a traumatic experience happen to you, it's okay to like be sad about it, but you need to not stay sad the whole time. Like you have to move on.
Scary stuff there, but also trending out of Louisiana on another note, Mardi Gras, obviously, as you can imagine, it's going to look very different this year. I'm sad about it, but you know, we are in a pandemic, no parades, but the city of New Orleans has come up with a very creative idea to keep that Mardi Gras spirit alive. Kenny Lopez explains the first ever floats in the Oaks. Check it out.
Mardi Gras parades won't be hitting the streets this carnival, but they will be rolling down to City Park as part of a new drive-through celebration called Floats in the Oaks.
And we will stage a stationary parade with a collaboration of all of the crews.
There won't be any riders on the floats or throws to catch, but the Mardi Gras spirit will be there.
Some of the crews that have agreed to participate are the King of Carnival, Rex, Bacchus, Zulu.
Amongst these oaks in City Park, cars will be able to drive through to see the beautiful floats. Now it's a 1.3-mile route that goes from Palm Drive to Roosevelt Way. City Park's Chief Operating Officer, Rob Deviney, is excited because Floats in the Oaks will be a huge fundraiser for the park.
We're dealing with the pandemic like all the other area businesses are. The park, most of the park's funding comes because of the businesses we operate. You know, people getting married in the park, coming to our amusement park, and all those things are closed right now. And so this is a real creative way to help our financial picture this year.
Bringing money to the park and bringing smiles to locals like Janet Duke.
I'm gonna be one of the first ones to buy my ticket, okay? You'll see me cruising through. I think the tickets is gonna sell out real fast.
And already by 9 o'clock this morning, we had sold 10% of the tickets. It's been unbelievable. And I mean, it tells you as a city how big Mardi Gras is a fabric of our society.
And we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna make it go.
So City Park is ready to let the good times roll, even if it's your car that's doing the rolling.
Where else the good times are going to be rolling? In Tampa, Florida, because we are talking about the Super Bowl now. My hometown, guys, I've been waiting to talk about this all day. After the NFC Championship win over the Packers, the Bucs will become the first team to play in the Super Bowl that's hosted in their own home stadium. The debate this morning was who gets which locker room. I'm just wondering, you know. Raymond James Stadium is the site of Super Bowl 55, and it will welcome about 22,000 fans, including, this is pretty awesome, 7,500 vaccinated healthcare workers. The Bucs' history-making Super Bowl berth is also with quarterback Tom Brady. It's his 10th appearance in the big game, but this is a big deal for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know I'm not supposed to be biased, but, you know, this is my show, so I think I'm allowed to be. So we got to bring in Gabrielle Shirley joining us now from Tampa, Florida. And, Gabby, I'm from Tampa, and I got to say, it was 2002 the last time they went to the Super Bowl, the only other time they went to the Super Bowl, and then they just happened to be making it in their home city. Well, what are the odds?
It is wild. Hi, thank you for having me. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, perfect. Yes, what are the odds? You know, people said from the beginning that Tom Brady coming to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was going to make a difference, Super Bowl bound. And at one point this season, this team was 7-5. People were not losing hope, but they were definitely a little critical of what the football team was doing. And for them to kind of come full circle to this point, to play a Super Bowl, like you said, for the first time in NFL history, at their home stadium. It's pretty incredible, and people here are very, very excited about it.
Yeah, you talked about everyone being excited. I mean, I'm looking at footage right now. I'm assuming this was from last night when the guys got home. The whole city is energized right now.
Yes, the whole city is energized. I actually interviewed some fans last week after the Buccaneers beat New Orleans who went out to that airport and greeted the players, the team, when they were leaving. And although there was, I think, probably I would say upwards of 200 people, still a pretty big crowd, but that had nothing on what happened last night. There were thousands of people out there, really, really excited, lots of energy. It was pretty special.
I got to say, energy coming from all over, because I follow Rick Ross on Instagram, and I saw that he gave a shout out to one of our very own Ryan Jensen. So, you know, I think there's a lot of hype around the Bucs right now, and I'm loving it.
There is a lot of hype. Everyone knows Tom Brady, his name. I mean, he exceeds football. But yes, he has brought the spotlight to these Tampa Bay Buccaneers and all of these players. I mean, they deserve it, but they are now in the national spotlight. People are going to be talking about them all for the next 2 weeks if they haven't been already. This team, you know, from the offense, the defense, from Tom Brady, who's 43, to all of the young guys that are half his age. I mean, they're really clicking, and it is, I'm at a loss of words, because yes, it is just so incredible that they have made it to the Super Bowl, their second one in franchise history.
And going up against the reigning champs, it is going to be quite the game. Thanks so much for joining us out of Tampa, Florida. But of course, we got to stick in Tampa. We got to just keep talking about the Super Bowl, because now that the Super Bowl is here, betting lines already open. The defending champs, you see them right there. The Chiefs Kingdom, already the favorites. The opening odds have Tom Brady and his Bucs 3-point underdogs. But you know, I don't believe that. This year's NFL season, obviously unlike any other due to the pandemic, and the Super Bowl is going to be a little different too. They're having to make a lot of adjustments. Typically, Super Bowl teams always get to the city a week early. They have all these events, but this season the Chiefs won't be allowed in Tampa Bay any earlier than the Friday before the game. The Chiefs announced they actually won't get there until the day before the game. Many other events associated with the Super Bowl, as you can imagine, will go virtual or be canceled, but we're still happy the Super Bowl is happening, and I got my fingers crossed. But before we go, do you have a sweet tooth like I do? Because it could pay off, and I'm not talking about paying your dentist bills. Candy Funhouse is a new candy company based out of Canada, and it's looking to hire some people to taste their candy and give it a good review. Your official title would be a Candyologist. Ooh, that sounds good. It's going to be both full-time and part-time jobs available. What's even sweeter is you get paid $30 an hour to chow down on some candy. But there is a catch. You have to be 18 or older. Steve is older than 18. He's behind the camera. And you can't have any food allergies. Steve, I hope you don't have any food allergies, because, oh, Peanuts, he's out. The last day to apply is February 15th, so if you are feeling sweet, go apply for that. How about ending the show on a sweet note? That was great. Thanks so much for joining us for Newsfeed Now on this lovely Monday. We want to see you back here tomorrow, same place, same time. And of course, we're talking about trending stories. I'm going to go apply for the candy job and maybe see if I can get a Super Bowl ticket. $15,000, no big deal, right? Bye.